That way I can use Fiona's computer. It's like a brand spanking one. Oh, we're live.
Well, we're connecting, so I'm gonna keep a tabs on things on fucking. Yep, all right, we're on. We are broadcasting at present. All right. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
I haven't got Facebook up or anything. Actually, I can probably have my tablet on at the same time. Sorry.
I would actually avoid that since you're having some internet issues anyway. We'll just. I'm gonna shut mine down. I actually turned my phone on.
Well, just because there's going to be people giving us feedback and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm on my phone with it, but I turned my Wi-Fi off on my phone, so that way it's just using the wireless. So that way, like, there's not a. I try to minimize the strain on the Wi-Fi as much as possible when using Zoom, because Zoom is intensive.
Same thing then.
Also, turn the volume down on your phone all the way so that no audio comes in through the computer and gets like a weird time loop. The fun of
Yeah, there we go. My phone is now on 4G, which means that I can go onto Facebook and have a look at this thing. Do we have any listeners yet? Was there anyone giving us any pinging back or anything?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. If there's anyone out there, send us a little message. Let us know you're there.
Or don't, then we'll just continue on as normal. All right, sorry folks, give us a couple minutes here. We're getting our bullshit squared away.
Yeah. First time, technical difficulties.
All right, can you turn your volume all the way down on your phone?
Yeah.
I can hear the.
Yeah, I actually muted everything, but there we go. Yep. Okay, so Chad's there. Hey, Chad. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Brian. G'day. How's it going, lads? Thanks for tuning in. We're just sorting our shit out. Should be ready to go in just a moment. G'day, Douglas. Thanks for tuning in. If you just tuned in, we're just getting our tech game on. Apologize for any lags with this. This is the first. John's been using Zoom a little bit. I have not. This is actually somehow I've got through all of ISO without Zooming until today. So I'm totally new to this game. Supposedly, if we talk over the top of each other, the audio is going to glitch. Now, I've spent my whole entire life, and certainly the last 22 years of married life, trying to work out how to not talk over people. Hasn't gone so well. But
we also have a habit.
Hopefully I can do something where I shut the fuck up for a moment, let John talk. I don't know. We'll see.
We have a habit of talking over one another, so we'll do our best to keep it quiet. And that being said, we're live. We have people tuning in, and fucking welcome back to Film Frak, folks. It's been a minute. We've been off since Adam moved back to Australia. This is our first time back, so thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did try that Skype. We did try the Skype thing for the best of 2019. And unfortunately, Skype was not technically compatible with what we wanted to achieve when it came to transmitting a video. So you got stuck with just a shitty audio on that one. But that was wrapping up 2019. Bad. So now this is the first 2020 post where we're going to talk about 2020 things and be all 2020 in the now, and dealing with our new reality, which quite frankly, even if ISO wasn't going on, we'd still be doing exactly this because we're on other sides of the planet now. I'm in Perth.
And I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, and for first-time listeners, hi, I'm Adam. G'day.
Oh yeah, good call. And I'm John. Yeah, if you never heard us before.
We are Film Frak.
That's right. We put our magical decoder rings together and we discuss movies. And yeah, I've been scrambling to play catch up because Adam's been watching more stuff than I have, and I've been watching a lot of trash lately. I've been watching a lot of bad like 80s slasher movies myself lately. But I decided to watch some 2020 films so I could be prepared for tonight.
Yeah, and man, those 80 slashes, we were just talking about it before we went live. Like, yeah, there were ones that even when I was 12 years old, I found nearly, like, we were discussing, like, until you're like 15, every film fucking rules, right? Like, you'd go down, you get it VHS. And as long as it was like, not even one scene that was worthwhile, but even if there was just one line in the movie that was worthwhile, it was a great film and it was worth watching. And, I mean, certainly if it was breasts or something, you'd be like fucking great.
Boobs
But
are a
even at 12,
plus.
some of those films you're watching, I was questioning.
And some of the movies I was watching didn't even have the common decency to have boobs in them, which I mean, if you're an 80s slasher, that's kind of, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, let's be real. But we also have been watching some good movies, some modern good movies. So do you want to start talking about some of those or what?
I've also been watching. I've been watching a lot of like Randolph Scott West. I think I've watched like 11 Randolph Scott fucking films in the last 3 weeks, from like 1947 to about 1956 or something, right when he was in his peak period. So I've been doing a lot of like classic westerns and shit, and going back to pretty much getting the survival manual going. I figure westerns is the best genre to learn how to cope with ISO and stuff and fending for yourself and getting all rugged. And Randolph Scott, let's just know exactly how to be.
Randolph Scott. The only thing I know about Randolph Scott is that one scene in Blazing Saddles. That's the only reason I know who that is, and I don't. And I had now that you bring that up, that's the only thing I have to associate him with is Blazing Saddles.
G'day, Brian. G'day, Brian. G'day, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. What do you say we get this show on the road and start talking 2020 in general, and just reflecting on, firstly, just the state of the world, state of the industry, state of the fact that pretty much every film we're going to talk about, we did not see in a cinema.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Speaking of the cinema, like it's a weird thing. Like I work in the cinema industry, and I've been out of work since it all started, like back in March 16th. I'm going on 2 months now, and I'm curious if there's going to be an industry to go back to. Like, if I'm being honest, the whole thing with AMC possibly claiming bankruptcy and Amazon's looking to bail them out, that's not going to be good. If Amazon buys them out, and then the whole thing with the studios, like the studios going direct to online. A lot of the movies that have been pushed back to either the end of this year or possibly next year, or for digital online release only. It's the film industry is kind of a mess right now, and I'm wondering if it's going to recover at all. It's kind of a interesting topic for discussion. I don't know what your thoughts are on that are.
Yeah, I mean, I think cinema has to survive. It's fucking cinema. There's enough people like you and I and everyone who's listening and people out there that are always will want to go to the movies. There will always be people that want to go and see films. How the new paradigm actually looks, though, is anyone's guess. Like, I think a lot more day and date stuff's going to happen. I think that because they've seen that streaming works, that Trolls 2 thing that started, and then Invisible Man that we're going to talk about, like, they've seen that there's the potential to make money by releasing day and date, obviously, and they're still getting their $20 a fucking ticket, because that's what they're charging for those day and date.
Yeah.
So they're making the same amount of money.
No, their money's getting rapidly. It's going downhill, because like your main money is, you have that window where like you make your money, like a shitload of money in the theater, and then it finds a second life on home release like 3 months later. So it's like you get money, a giant pile of money, and then like another set of money in a few months later. So you're not going to make as much money. Like, as I don't understand how, as a business model, like, the studios think that that's a good idea to just go digital. So I don't understand that, because there's, like, if you have a movie that releases for like fucking $300 million, or like some movies that, like the movies like fucking Avengers, that gross like $1 billion worldwide in theaters alone, and then come out on, digital and Blu-ray and all that shit, and then make another $500 million. Like, I feel like that's such a loss to your income. So,
I mean, I think yeah, I mean, I personally think the model will be that, because there's a big difference between an Avengers film and a tentpole film and a little indie film that shows in 3 cinemas for 2 seconds, but is a great fucking film. And I think that, you know, those bigger ones that they spend 200, $300 million on and need that $1 billion fucking box office will still be in the cinemas first. In fact, that may be all the cinema experience ends up being, because quite frankly, that's where they make all their fucking money anyway. But so the good films, or the good films being a bit of a snob, but either way, the films that we tend to watch, that are those ones that, you know, we have to fucking keep a close eye on when the schedule's going to be, and it has like one weekend that it runs, and then by the next weekend it's gone. Those things I think are going to actually get more life if they're day and date on VOD, because you're not going to have to travel, you know, 40 kilometers more just to see that one movie at that one cinema that's showing that one film. You know, I mean, how many times was there films where you and I were like, it was like a friggin' treasure hunt to give them our money? You know, we were eager to give them money, but fucked if we could find a cinema that was showing it. You know, there was times when we'd have to go across state lines, or, you know, like those things are going to be VOD. And I think that there'll still be a semblance of the model for those, for the Avengers of the world and the Marvel films and the Disney films, those event films. It's just a question of what the art house cinemas look like, really, as opposed to the big AMCs and stuff. There's that Amazon thing happening at the moment too, where Amazon are, you know, if Amazon fucking buys AMC, what the fuck that's going to look like will be interesting.
Well, I mean, I can see like I am kind of curious how that works, because like on one hand, you're like, you know, Amazon's this giant monopoly already as it is, and then if they scoop that up, then they start, you know, having access to theaters as well. But then if you, on the other hand, you got to look at Amazon's actually cranking out some really solid original titles of their own. Like Amazon's been making some really solid films. Amazon Studios is making some really good stuff. So, and on the one hand, that might just encourage them to make better movies of their own and have easier access to stream them or put them out into theaters for distribution, which would be cool, because a lot of their movies are more on the indie side and they don't really release as often in theaters. So that would actually be, I don't know, there's sort of I can see a silver lining to both of those. But to go into what you were saying about, like, you know, the theater thing as well, like, you know, Universal, that whole thing with Universal theater saying they're not going to show you new Universal movies because of this whole thing. It's like, how is that a smart idea if you're a theater? Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, you're not going to show a new Jurassic World and lose all that money. Like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of weird back and forth between the studios and the theaters, it seems, just as far as vying for a position in this.
Yeah, I mean, what I find odd as well is, like, because no one kind of knows what the new normal is going to look like. Like, why the fuck do you start saying things out loud to the press about what you're going to do once cinemas come back, when there's not even a fucking world that we know what it's going to look like? Like, just seems friggin' stupid to actually go on record as saying anything at the moment other than we're working on it. You know, when this thing ends, we hope to be able to launch with Chris Nolan's Tenet, which I think that's gonna, I think Tenet's going to turn out to be the film, because it seems, it seems like most of the release timelines that are happening for the world are going to time around July is when cinemas are happening. And so with Chris Nolan sort of digging his heels in and going, no, this film is going to be released in July, it could be the single biggest box office success, just because if people like you and I want to go to the cinema and there's only one fucking film, well, I'm still going to go and see fucking Tenet. I mean, I was going to go see Tenet anyway, but even if you weren't, you kind of by sticking to your guns, by everything else moving out to 2021, which is a whole other conversation of what the fuck is the rest of 2020 look like, even if they're asking, like, hoping that they just go retroactive and, just in cinemas start playing all the old films from 2019 and 2020, early 2020 that we made, the ones that were straight to VOD that we didn't see on the big screen.
Currently, the plan before our chain shut down, the plan was to just sort of do like the cult classics, like the cult classics program that I was doing at the time. They were just going to sort of do that 24/7. I mean, have that be all that they were doing. It was just show classic films, and I don't know that would have had the legs to keep a theater up and running in general, because you're charging a discounted ticket for that? And then how many of those can you show before people start losing interest in it? It's a loaded question because there's so many different factors, and it's just a rough, the theater industry is having a tough time of it as it is anyway. So I just feel like this was a tough break for the theaters on top of already having a hard time, so.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, I mean, again, there's a big, when we're talking cinemas too, there's such a big fucking difference between the AMCs of the world and that little friggin' indie cinema that's on the corner, Somerville Theatre or the Brattle. Sort of, what they're going to look like, especially when, they, as they, most of the money comes from the concession stand, right? For what they actually make, not what
most of it,
the studios make, but the cinema makes is you need to physically be there buying fucking popcorn, and you need to physically buy your drinks and stuff there because that's where they're making their bank.
Yep.
Oh, that's where they're making the money to stay open. So, yeah, it still seems odd, like that. It still seems odd to me that anyone said anything out loud about that Universal thing. Like, it just seems really weird when this new paradigm is sort of still being established.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I'm curious to see how it pans out if I even have like an industry to go back to once this is all said and done. Because as of right now, like I personally think it's going to be one of the. Someone was Doug's asking about if he thinks drive-in cinemas are making a comeback. Yes, drive-in cinemas are killing it right now. Drive-in cinemas right now are absolutely slaying it. There's one up here in New Hampshire. I know they're doing great, and there's one down in Mass that's they're vying to open right now. They're still not allowed to open yet because Massachusetts hasn't lifted the restriction for drive-ins yet. But once they do, they'll kill it. Drive-ins will do great, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I was really eager when this first started. Actually, there's a drive-in here in Perth. And I sort of messaged everyone around and went, look, as soon as they start showing something fucking decent, because it was the week when like Bloodshot and shit came out, and it was like they were showing like 6 films, but none of them were worth going. And I was like, oh, as soon as they show something decent, let's make the drive-in the thing. But yeah, then the social distancing went, no, we're even closing drive-ins, which still makes no sense to me if you're staying in your fucking car and you're not going to the concession stand. Like, you are distanced. But I mean, not only do I think that that's a positive, I also love the goddamn drive-in. And if that's the world that the cinema, where we don't have cinemas anymore, we only have drive-ins. I can live with just going to drive-ins. I mean, sure, you don't have the sound quality, that you do in a cinema and stuff, but you you don't have the shared experience in quite the same way. But on a sort of personal, insular level, it's kind of like, watching it at home with a bunch of people in cars. And, I mean, it's been so long since I've been to a drive-in too, that there is that nostalgia factor for sure. Like,
no, 100%. Yeah. And drive-ins are just like, they're just a lot of fun on top of it. Yeah. 100%. I don't know, man, you want to start talking about some 2020 flicks?
Yeah, let's start with the one that's sitting behind you. The poster's right behind you. Let's start with Not for Resale, which I haven't seen. You go for it.
Yeah, all right, man. Cool. Not for Resale was actually a film released this year. Hang on, give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I should know a little bit more about this because friends of mine made this movie. Give me 1 second here. I can talk a little bit about it as I'm quickly doing my research. Not for Resale is a really, really tremendous documentary on the video game industry and sort of the issue right now where, do you still buy physical copies of games, or do you just purchase them as digital downloads, and what that means for the state of the video game industry and the future of gaming in general. And it also goes into some really interesting looks at people who are actually preserving the medium in its physical format, and saving them and keeping them as like relics to as like sort of like the Library of Congress or something, but for video games, and just having these physical games around. It's directed by Kevin James, and one of our pals, Phil Healy, worked on it as well. And JB worked on it as well. JB did some art for it. Yeah, and it's if you're a gamer, I highly recommend checking it out. There was more than a couple times where it caught me in the caught me in the feels because as someone who's played video games since they were I've been playing games for over 30 years now. I'm an avid gamer and I still am. It's a fantastic documentary and touches on the how it's such a powerful medium. And I've talked about it here in the show. I think video games in some ways are better than movies as far as being able to immerse you in an experience and could that be an experience that you're actually controlling and taking part in. And I can't recommend it enough. It's available on Blu-ray, and it's available on demand as well. And I believe they actually just got distribution. So a big congrats to them. It's a fantastic film. I highly recommend checking it out.
And is it out on any of the streaming services?
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon. I believe it's on Amazon, but you should be able to find it pretty much anywhere anywhere streaming is happening. But not for resale. Like it's absolutely fantastic. It's a tremendous documentary. I saw another video game documentary called The Lost Arcade recently. It wasn't a 2020, but it was a really great documentary on this arcade that was in Chinatown that was around for like 30 or so years and closed down not too long ago, and how they're trying to keep the arcade scene alive. And that was just really that was a fantastic documentary as well. Just all these just relics of the past and the nostalgia, and being an arcade rat myself, and just like all these. I did video gaming such a great platform, and it's cool to see all these films being made about it, and good films. I think it's great.
Yeah, here in Perth, there's actually two video arcades that are running that are like it's sort of like a big bar experience. And if you spend $20 at the bar, you get to play video games all night for free. And they've got all the old school fucking ones that we grew up with. And well, being older than you, I grew up with some other ones that you didn't, but also the ones that you did. But they've even got they've even sit down fucking tabletop ones there for Space Invaders and stuff. All the way through to Dragon's Lair and all that good shit.
Nice. I just had one of I'm building a home arcade right now. I've got like Mortal Kombat 2 and Final Fight arcade machines, and my Pac-Man 40th anniversary just came in yesterday, and I'm waiting for my Burger Time machine. I got a Burger Time machine coming in. I'm just those have been, I pre-ordered those so long ago. I'm just waiting for them to come in because they got held up because of the China thing. They're coming from China, so they're on. It's taken forever for them to get here. So, but I just got word Burger Time should be on its way in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's awesome having like your own little arcade at home. It's I feel like I've made it in life. I'm like, yeah, that's how I know. I have a home arcade.
I'm so old school. The only fucking arcade game I'd actually want in my house, and not only actually one, there is plans for this to happen eventually, is a fucking pinball machine. Like an old school fucking pinball, not the new techie ones with all the fucking bullshit. Just an old simple fucking four flipper, friggin' non-digital fucking clicker. Love those goddamn things. Pinball is like still my single favorite fucking arcade game, despite the whole revolution that happened. That's still the single most entertaining thing to fucking do, is just fucking sit and play pinball for hours and get
I was never a pinball guy. I respect pinball, but I was just I could never get into it. Pinball was always one of those things that seemed cooler to me in theory. Like I'd be walking by and I'd see like a Lethal Weapon 3 pinball machine. I'd be like, whoa, Lethal Weapon 3 pinball. I'd be like, I don't want to play that, but I'm glad that exists. That's what pinball was for me.
Yeah, well, again, I'm an old man, so there was a time where that was the only thing that was available. So we as kids were loving it, and there was also something outlaw about it. I mean, there was a great documentary made on Special When Lit. I don't know if you've seen Special When Lit, but it's a fucking great documentary about the history of pinball, and they go into it a little bit. That it was the outlaw element as well. Like it was all the big kids at school were going into the arcade and dominating the pinball machines, and if you were a little kid, you kind of just stood there in awe of the big kids and hoped that one of them would let you play maybe once. And they were the kids that the 15-year-olds that were smoking a pack of Marlboros already. They were the ones that were fucking into the pinball. So there was something really fucking rebel-y about fucking pinball machines. It just the video arcade never actually had as much as what the pinball arcades did. And you know, there was a lot of dodgy things going on there. It was like one of those first, you know, 13 or 14, walking home from school, and you know, your parents have told you not to go to the video arcade because it's, you know, deadly. You go in and you're seeing, you know, it's the first introduction to seeing people handing little dime bags to each other and all of that happening. And you know, I'm talking like 1979, 1980, you know, 81 maybe. You know, and then the only place that the video games first started was at the pub. Like the sit-down video games, like the first sit-down Space Invaders game that I ever played was at a pub bistro. Because it was back in the day when you used to take your kids to the fucking bar, and you know, your parents would go off and have a drink and stuff, and they'd just chuck you in that was literally the purpose of it, you know, chuck the kids in this room and you just sit down, and they give you a bunch of, I mean, we don't have dimes and quarters, bunch of 20-cent pieces or 10-cent fucking coins, and you just sit there all day just playing Space Invaders or playing Pac-Man, which was the only two games that were available for, it seemed like an eternity, but that was fine. We were spoiled for choice with just two.
Yeah, I used to like Mortal Kombat 2 was like my game. So like back when I was in like high school, after high school, I would walk down to the Methuen Mall in Massachusetts every day after high school and just dump quarters into Mortal Kombat 2. And now that I have a Mortal Kombat 2 machine I just walk out in my living room and there's Raiden on the side with the electricity. I'm just like, I just look at them. I'll just sit there and look at them, just be like, yeah, that feels nice. I guess that's nice.
Yeah, I think my first fight game was Street Fighter. Is Street Fighter the one where you're actually walking down the street and there's two of you fucking fighting, and you're sort of walking down the road and you've got to fight all these gangs that come out from behind garbage bins and stuff?
I think that's Double Dragon. You might be thinking of Double Dragon.
That was the first one that arrived. I remember that, but that was before Mortal Kombat and even Street Fighter, I think. Yeah, maybe Double Dragon it was called. Yeah.
Yeah, Double Dragon rules. I love this. I love the commentary from these nerds that are chiming. What's that? You want to move on to the next one?
Feedback happening there, isn't there?
What do you want to? What movie are we talking about next again?
Capone. So, you know, state of the art. Let's be all professional and shit. I think it's that one there.
There we go. Look at this, folks. We're fancy. We're fancy up in here.
Fucking hell. This is booming. We are absolutely fucking proud. Capone.
Brian, I want to address Brian Sullivan's comment. He just said Bad Dudes as well. Bad Dudes is coming on my Burger Time cabinet. It's gonna have Burger Time, Caveman Ninja, Bad Dudes, and there's another game on top. Karate. That karate game that was in Bloodsport that Van Damme and Jackson played. That I think it's called like Karate Champ. Karate Champ is going to be on that machine as well. So like that's going to be awesome. Bad Dudes. Yeah, we'll be playing Bad Dudes.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
You saw Capone. I did not. I don't want to watch Capone. That trailer is terrible. But please tell me if it's worth watching or not.
Okay, Capone. There were two prime reasons why I watched this, and the first one was Tom Hardy. The second one was so that when we got to actually do this podcast, we were talking about something completely current. You know, it came out like 2 days ago, something like that, 3 days ago, whatever. I watched it. It's all a blur. Time is irrelevant at the moment. Time is just a flat circle. A concept that we can ignore or pay attention to. But anyway, yeah. So Capone, so they're the two main reasons. And the other reason why I watched Capone was that I was intrigued by the premise. You know, there's been like fucking 19 Capone movies made or something, and you know, I mean, I'll always be a diehard Ben Gazzara fan. I love the fucking Steve Carver film. You know, Rod Steiger obviously put his stamp on it. Boardwalk Empire had a really great fucking Capone as well. But it's a story that's always told in that Untouchables period, you know, which Untouchables is great too. Don't just by omission. Doesn't mean I didn't love the fucking film. I mean, it has a David Mamet script. What's not to love, and De Palma directed it. But what I liked about this was because when they first fucking announced it and stuff, I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to see fucking Untouchables for the 19th fucking goddamn time. So with this one, it's the last year of Capone's life. It's the final year. The man's suffering hugely from neurosyphilis. supposedly he got syphilis when he was like fucking 13 or 14, fucking a prostitute, and had it all his, it just basically was there, just eating away at him and eating away at him. But this film is the final year of his life, and it's this slow descent, this slow fucking revolting fucking descent into madness, where the neurosyphilis is eating his mind, dementia is really taking a hold, and it all takes place in one location, really, for the most part, because it's all kind of him in his head in a house. And so by effect, the house sort of becomes this haunted house full of, we're not even sure if they're memories or real life, or flashbacks or culminate. There's a bit of everything. It's a hodgepodge of things that happen in his head that we get to watch. And, he shits himself a couple of times and gets to wear a diaper, and that's all good. And so just on that premise alone, I was kind of intrigued by the idea, because it's, this incredibly powerful figure, this mythic icon of power that we've come to know, and showing him as this pathetic fucking dying being that doesn't demand our sympathy, because he's still a fucking horrible scumbag. Even when he's not capable of really talking, just grunting, and he really can't do shit. He can't even walk. He still sort of exudes just scumbagginess.
Yeah.
So that was interesting too, doing this story about dementia, where normally, obviously those stories inspire some sympathy, and you can't help but of course go, oh, that would suck. But the film itself, as much as all those things sound good on paper, at least to me, I'll agree with you straight away. The trailer was fucking horrible. The trailer did nothing to sell that film other than tell me Tom Hardy's going to fucking rule again, and Tom Hardy does. I'm not going to lie.
Obviously, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The film was watchable because Tom Hardy was in it, and it was a really captivating performance. But that's kind of where the positives end, other than the cinematography and the music are quite good. All those technical things are quite good as well. The film, basically, in the end, what it suffers from is there's a point in the story where, because it is so Looney Tunes in a way, because you're watching this guy fucking slowly go, well, not even slowly go fucking crazy. This guy just legitimately going fucking nuts. There was a time in the film about, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, where there's this scene where I was like, oh, we're going to go into Bronson territory, because Bronson very much does this, everything that Bronson does right, this film does wrong, because Bronson too is kind of this fever dream of craziness and lunacy, and it just goes fucking balls to the wall. Whereas where Bronson goes balls to the wall, this thing seems to constantly dial itself back. So immediately, if Josh Trank kind of just went, fuck it, we're going crazy with this shit, and turn this thing into absolute fucking lunacy. Literally people run around in circles with fucking monkeys with cymbals and shit crashing. It would have made the film much, much, much better. And it just plays it safe. That's the problem. It plays it safe on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you've got these scenes like, him shitting blood all over his fucking bed, and it's like, oh, well, you're not playing it safe there, and then you're playing it safe here. And so it just becomes a really, really impossible to kind of grab onto anything. Not even looking for cohesiveness, but just to latch onto something that's real. And you really can't latch onto anything in this film. So you kind of just go through it and then shrug and go, that's that. And the other reason I didn't mention that I did want to watch the film too is because I am a huge fucking Chronicle fanboy. Josh Trank's first film, Chronicle, for me is like one of the best found footage films, and also one of the best fucking superhero films. It's just a really good fucking film. And then Fantastic Four obviously fucking destroyed all of that, because that film is a big fucking piling piece of shit. But Josh Trank has shown the potential to be something special. So I was curious because he had complete creative freedom in this thing, and you really got to see what he could do. And he wrote it, directed it, he edited it. So the Trank appeal was there too. But yeah, I can see that he's still a talented filmmaker. I'm still not writing off Josh Trank because of this. I think that there is a great film in him, but Capone is not that film.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I'm probably not going to check it out based off of, I didn't find the trailer interesting, and that didn't really, I don't know. What did you give that out of a 5?
I gave it 2.5, 2.5 stars out of 5. Which is that it was competently, 2.5 stars for me means it was competently made, but it did little for me.
Yeah.
but I think I would also say that the film was kind of for me, because there's films as well where I give it 2.5 stars, but I'm also admitting that the film wasn't made for me. You know, there's plenty of films that are great films that just aren't my jam. But this one should be my jam. Yeah, but overall, not. I will go on record as saying it's not as bad as everyone's saying. Like, it's not unwatchable dreck or anything. It's just it's just a film of constant. You could have done that better. This could be better. This should be better. Constantly, actually, this could be better. This should be better, because you're dealing with something that's really interesting. You're showing, again, that iconic mythical character in a way that's never been shown before, in a period of life that hasn't been shown before. You've got a really great fucking actor at the front of it, and you've got the freedom to really cut loose because of the fact that you're dealing with something that's not grounded in reality. But yeah. Overall, nah.
All right, fair enough. You wanna move on to Extraction?
Yep.
Which is Extraction's so the trailer for Extraction, I couldn't even finish the trailer for Extraction. I thought the trailer was, I saw that, I got like halfway through that trailer. I couldn't finish it. I was like, nah, I don't want to watch that. And then slowly but surely, like 3 people, it was like you, my buddy Matt, and then one of our fans of the show who's an artist friend of mine, Casey Callender out in Texas there. He was like, saying it was good, and I was like, Jesus Christ. It was like, now I have to watch it. There's like 3 people whose opinions I always like, regardless of whether I agree, like those are 3 people who I have to based off of that, And Extraction's is a mediocre film, but probably one of the best action films in the past 20 years, easily. I would put it up there with the Raid, and like not in terms of like being as good a film, but as far as the action scenes go, like the action in that movie, like, and John Wick, like the action is really well done. Hemsworth is believably badass. I like Hemsworth and everything. I always like Hemsworth. Hemsworth always gives it his all, and he's always good. But this movie is it's just kind of a generic movie, but the action is fucking top notch. Like, there's some really, really good kills in it. There's an awesome car chase in it. The camera work is fucking great. There's like one of the scenes during that car chase, like the director strapped himself to like a hood of a car. I don't know if you saw that, but like he was actually like strapped to a hood of a car and just like unbelts himself, like when the car stops, and just starts running into like the side of a car to keep filming. It's the action cinematography is top notch. It's just wrapped around a very mediocre and generic film. But for me, it was like a 3 out of 5. But that action is easily a 5 out of 5. Like, it's just the movie itself is just kind of whatever. But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, it does raise the question. This was the thing with Extraction that I was thinking too when I was trying to think back on it, because I certainly, it has its flaws, and I'll go into them in a moment, and has its problems and etc. But the ultimate question that comes down to it with a film like Extraction is, what's an action film? Just like what's a comedy? Like, there's comedy romances, there's comedy horrors, there's comedy this, there's comedy that. And some films are designed to make you laugh every 2 seconds and are comedies. And some films just make you smile the whole way through and are comedies. And Extraction is one of those that, like, I was like, this isn't really that good a fucking action film. But then I realized that there's a big difference between an action film like, say, Raid 2, the really great action films where you're watching it for the action scenes. If you go back to the Cannon films, for instance, you're not watching a Cannon film for the story. You're not watching a Cannon film for the dialogue. You're not watching it for the acting. You're literally watching it to see someone punch someone else in the face, how well they punch someone else in the face, how well they kick someone else in the head. You're not watching it, or even, when we watched those old Cannon films, we weren't watching them for the story. Because when Bloodsport, you're not watching fucking Bloodsport for the fucking goddamn story. You've seen that story a billion times, even by the time Bloodsport had come out. You're watching Bloodsport to watch a dude do the splits, to fucking watch a guy kick people in the head, and you judge that film based on how good the actual martial arts scenes are. The reason Bloodsport is a great film isn't anything to do with fucking the story or the acting. It's just literally that when the action scenes are happening, they were, at the time, they were pretty fucking amazingly brutal action scenes. And you were like, fuck, that's a step above what I was watching in that Chuck Norris film, you know, or whatever, you know. And we've reached that point where, because action films became these high concept vehicles with the Terminator, and, you know, it was in the 80s where that transition happened, where an action film was demanding more. There was, you know, the James Bond franchise, I think, is one of the only examples of action franchises back then that you did watch for the story as well as, well, for other elements other than the action scenes. You know, you always knew if there was going to be a car chase, it was going to be really good. And you always knew if there was going to be, you know, if there was going to be action, it was going to be good action. But you were watching it for the locations as much as you were watching it for the action. You were watching it as much for James Bond swaggering around. You're watching it as much for so many other elements. And you know, there were some other ones. Obviously, it's not the only one, but it's just a really easy example to go to. And then in the 80s, you ended up with films like The Terminator, where, goddamn, The Terminator has great action. Like, that car chase in the fucking first Terminator is amazing. It's Walter Hillgood. But it's the story that you're into as well. And, you know, now you've got the world where you've got the Mission Impossibles and the Bourne Identities and the Ronins and all these other films that the stories are actually great. You know, you've got De Niro in action films and shit. So what an action film is kind of been redefined over time. And I find with Extraction, when I watched it, I was looking at it from that metric. And then I went, hang on, how about I just judge the action scenes? And I'm agreeing with you completely. The action scenes are really fucking great. Yeah. It's not surprising. I mean, there's an 11.5-minute unbroken goddamn shot in the middle of the film that, just like we were discussing at the beginning of the show about horror films and films back in the day on VHS, you'd watch a horror film or a VHS film, and even if it just had one line, one shot, or one scene that you fucking loved, you felt like the movie was worth watching the whole film. Well, this one has 11.5 minutes that fucking make it well and truly worth goddamn watching Extraction if you're into action cinema. Because I agree, the story is really lame. You know, the script from Joe Russo, no less. I mean, I must admit, I did expect a little bit more from Russo as well. Because I even like 21 Bridges, even though it was, again, a very generic film. You know, his script for that was solid. And obviously with the Marvel films, he's showing that he can make, as much as I'm not a Marvel fanboy, as you know, I'm also going to acknowledge that Joe Russo is a pretty, you know, there's good scripts there. And then when you combine it with what's his face, Sam Hargraves is the director. So Sam Hargraves was Captain America's double in all the films, Chris Evans films. And he was also the fight choreographer of all those big Marvel films. And this is his first directing thing. And I really do love living in an age where stuntmen are turning into directors, because the action is fucking dynamite. Like, there's a reason why the Cannonball Run and Smokey and the Bandit were great in the 70s, and it's Hal Needham. Because you had a stuntman goddamn directing those films. Again, you weren't watching those films for the fucking dialogue. I mean, although I must admit there's a real good comedy thing and stuff, and it's probably going to contradict what I'm saying.
That's fucking awesome.
But the truth is that Hal Needham knew how to shoot fucking action. And when you've got a bunch of stuntmen going, what can we do to impress people? You know, that conversation is a lot better than it is when a bunch of directors, a regular director or someone sitting down. Because the first thing that director has to do usually is ask a stuntman, hey, what can you guys do? What can't you do? Whereas when you've actually got stuntmen going, haha, what do we want to do? And that's what I feel with Extraction we got. You know, I feel there's a couple of scenes in that where you're like, you can just tell a bunch of fucking stuntmen got really hammered one night, came up with this fucking scenario and went, let's go fucking do that. And because we live in a technical age where you can actually do that, because again, you know, we have the technology now to be able to do all these wonderful things like you were talking about, you know, where there's that crossing over of these extreme things of strapping yourself to a hood of a car, but there's also the CG that you can use to just iron it all out so it's nice and smooth. And you can't see it. That's what happened. And so from that point of view, Extraction is really, really solid. So if you want an action film I'm gonna put it in it's like a modern canon film. It is what it is. You know, I mean, I think the acting is a little better.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think you can call it like a canon film. I would compare it to I would call it like a diet John Wick, because like John Wick has the benefit of having like a fun story that's like interesting, whereas this is just the only thing that separates this from like any modern piece of shit action movie is the fact that Hemsworth is good in it and the action is good in it. Like, those are the only two things that separate it from being like any other piece of shit direct to video action movie. Because it's got like the same story that might as well be in any one of those throwaway action flicks, except it's well made. Like that's the only thing that really separates it. It doesn't have like the personality that like a John Wick does, or like it's something a lot more fun, but it has that same style of action and it's done really well. So basically, like you said, like you just have to base it strictly on the what it is. Like I like that shootout scene too is amazing. That where they're going on the balconies and stuff, and like that's a lot of that was unbroken too, and it's just dancing around all these these corridors and going in and out of like areas. It's amazing to watch. Like I yeah, Extraction is a weird mixed bag. To me, I can't give it more than a 3 out of 5, even though the action is totally a 5 out of 5. But it's like it's that weird balance of like it doesn't have any personality, but it's got some kick-ass action. So like it's enough to get it. It's enough to get you by. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I would work for it.
Yeah, I think I made the canon comparison too, just because the John Wick film is a Walter Hill film. You know, Walter Hill films had that extra atmosphere and that extra personality you're talking about, whereas canon films were canon films. They were generic action films that cast a familiar face in them, but they didn't really have that personality, and that's why I see it as just a modern canon film. I
have to disagree with you because I love canon films. I think canon films have tons of personality, and that's the reason I think they're watchable is because they're bad, but they have personality. But this is also that area that you and I tend to not agree with when it comes to like what makes a good bad film good. And like canon films for me are that, where it's like I'll fucking watch Over the Top anytime you want to watch Over the Top. Like I'll throw Over the Top in right now and enjoy that because it's to me that's a good bad film. Like it's bad, but it's well made. Like to me that's what a good bad film is like when they would take the time to make something. Put like actual filmmaking effort into something that was very clearly a piece of shit. Like you know, like you don't need a movie about arm wrestling. You don't need that. Like a guy trying to win his kid back in an arm wrestling contest. It just doesn't make sense. But you film it well for some reason. You put in like a good like score and like all these unnecessary things that they used to do. So it actually, to me, it does have a personality. Like I feel like, whereas I feel like Extraction's just like bland. It's just bland. Like it's just generic guy, but then like awesome action. So it's like it's such a weird it's just a weird comparison to make because like I'm happy to watch either, but I would be more inclined to watch a canon film more times on repeat than I would Extraction, if that makes any sense. Because to me a canon film is going to have personality where Extraction doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'd equate it more to, again, the Walter Hill film, John Wick. I'm going to watch the Walter Hill film that's actually well made and got atmosphere and got, you know, a bit of grit and grime under the fingernails versus the canon film, which is Extraction. And I mean, I'm not using canon in a derogatory term either. I mean, they have their place, and I enjoy fucking American Ninja as much as the fucking next guy. I'm a Michael Dudikoff boy. You know, any film where a guy's catching a fucking throwing star in his fucking fingers, I'm down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not watching that with the same lens that I do, say, the fucking goddamn Driver or Extreme Prejudice or
no, absolutely not. And the only thing I think I'm disagreeing with you on is the fact that you're putting Extraction in the same camp as canon, where I wouldn't. I would put Extraction, to me, they're not even in the same camp, because I think a canon film has personality whereas Extraction has no personality. It just has great action. Extraction is a really hard movie to really talk about, I think, because I think you need to watch it because the action is amazing. It's just don't expect anything from it because it's.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Onto Extraction. Firstly, I have a problem with Hemsworth in the film. I don't think. I think the problem with it is the way the film's lensed and shot. It has this sense of realism to it. So it's shot with this sort of, you know, this pseudo realism with the lensing and everything like that, and obviously with the way that the action's shot as well, and the consequences of a punch and everything like that. It's all realism, and then you've kind of got this cartoon character at the front of it, who's sort of larger than life and bigger than life. And one of the problems I had was trying to find what they were actually trying to sell me to start with. Because the first time you meet Chris Hemsworth is that ridiculously fucking clunky CG shot of him jumping off that waterfall and then going under the water like fucking Bodhi and fucking meditating, you know, with his legs crossed under the waterfall. So I'm like, all right, I'm watching so I'm like, okay, I'm just watching this goofy fucking film, and I'm watching that again. I'm watching a Canon film. You know, it's a very fucking, you know, you'd expect Van Damme to do something like that. You know, like doing the splits and fucking meditating. You're gonna jump off a waterfall, go in the water and meditate. But then like 10 minutes fucking later, I've got some badass villain grabbing children by the hair and chucking them off a fucking roof.
Oh yeah.
Batting them on the ground. And I'm like, why have I got a cartoon character at the front of it if I've got this great brutality? I mean, mind you, that is my favorite scene in the whole film, is chucking the fucking kid off the roof and just fucking lobbing him. You know, that's because it sets up a lot. And to me, it's set up that there's some gravitas behind this crap.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got attuned to that type of film. And then every time that Chris Hemsworth came on, I felt like I was watching a Van Damme film because he was kind of that Van Damme character. And that conflicting thing, and it's not necessarily Hemsworth's fault. I don't think that Hemsworth is capable of playing a normal human being just because he's not a normal human being. He's this fucking 6 foot tall fucking guy. You know, he's perfectly built. He's the perfect Thor now. And you know, there's very, very few films that Hemsworth have been in that I've liked, and none of them have been in the real world except for Rush, because in Rush he's kind of playing, you know, Hunt, the Formula One driver that he's playing in Rush, is kind of this larger than life character in real life, and so it's able to fit. But if you watch him in Black Hat, he is so fucking miscast in Black Hat, in the Michael Mann film, because it's set in the real world. And that's the thing, is I think that Extraction would have immediately been lifted if it had sort of leaned a little bit more into being in the real world, because everything else apart from Chris Hemsworth is kind of in the real world. And so again, when you've got a scene of fucking children being lobbed off a roof and fucking splattered on the ground, you know, you're setting this up that it's going to be a fucking real world film.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's why I say this movie is just kind of, it goes for generic action film, and why I say it could be any other piece of shit that goes direct to video, because it's tone deaf to what it is. Like, it has no idea what it really wants to be. Like, so even though it'll do something right, like the next minute you're just like, you're just doing like it leans a little too heavily on trying to think it's fucking avant-garde and then going into like tropes that you've seen 1,000 times. So it's just tone deaf. It's just like a generic, it's whatever. It's worth watching. It's totally worth watching, but it's just whatever.
Yeah, that tone deafness is what I'm getting at. Yeah, it just seemed to be two different films constantly that were clashing against each other.
I agree.
That said, Chris Hemsworth is fucking totally believable at punching people in the face. He is fucking
100%. Yeah, he's great.
Gunplay.
Yeah,
he's incredibly good at the fucking fight choreography. He is very, very good at all those things.
Throw him in a John Wick movie though. Throw him in a John Wick movie then, because he would be a great villain in a John Wick movie. Like he did a great job in Extraction. Extraction just has nothing to offer you. That's all. Like, you just go, if you just want to watch it for action, that's all it has to offer. And I agree with what Jeremy Ty just said here. Is, you know, he said he thought Hemsworth was pretty good in Bad Times at the El Royale. Bad Times at the El Royale is a great movie. And Hemsworth is awesome in it, 100%. And Bad Times
at the El Royale is my favorite film of that fucking year. Like, I
remember.
Yeah, Hemsworth as a cult leader was great. Again, that larger than life fucking charismatic fucking cult leader that he played was perfect casting. Again, because you imagine seeing a man like that in real life and going swoon, and so it worked in Bad Times at the El Royale. Bad Times at the El Royale as well was in no way set in the real
and
world.
we're not like trashing Hemsworth in this. I think Hemsworth is fine in this. Is like you said, he does a great job, and you could tell he really worked his ass off to make sure he was delivering the best he could for this movie. And Kathy here wants to know who you think could have played a better lead character. Honestly, I don't think anybody. I think for this particular movie, Hemsworth was the right choice. He did a great job, and it's not his fault that the movie itself is just bleh. Like, he's not bad. He's great, but the movie's boring.
I'm gonna fall back on my almost generic answer and say that just chuck Oscar Isaac in that fucking goddamn role for me.
That would be interesting.
Because Oscar Isaac would be fucking dominant in that fucking goddamn role.
You know what? That's an interesting idea. I'd like to see him do something like that.
Well, he did. That's why I'm saying it. He did do something like that. What was the
Triple Frontier.
Yeah.
Triple Frontier.
Which I like. I like Triple Frontier.
See, Triple Frontier, like, Triple Frontier is like actually is also a generic movie, but it's also the whole thing knows exactly what it is. So like it's such a weird dynamic when you're talking about movies like of this sort of nature where it's like you're just talking about like the modern action film where it's like it's so hard to make a good one. To me, that's why like the truly good ones like really stand out, like your Raid or your Raid 2, fucking Hardcore Henry, John Wick. Like those are the movies that like I gravitate to. Hardcore Henry's fucking amazing. How dare you say? But those are like the sort of things that like really stand out for me and truly represent themselves as like great action films, great modern action films. So
I'm practicing my non-verbal cues so that I'm not talking over you all the time. I'm just seeing faces, giving you the finger. You know, it'll all be the same.
Do you want to get in? Let's talk about the fucking Gentleman because the Gentleman's a goddamn great. Listen, we've wasted too much time on Extraction.
Yep, let's talk about the Gentleman. Production values, people. Production values here.
We'll get faster at this too. I'm imagining.
Yeah, you might. I enjoy the sound of my voice too much to fucking actually rush anything.
Before we get into the Gentleman, I really want to thank comingsoon.net and for giving me this great Gentleman prize pack along with STX Entertainment and Universal Studios. They sent me a Gentleman prize pack and it had this awesome. It's got this awesome whiskey glass with some of those stones you put in the freezer to freeze them, those ice cubes, and they gave me a Blu-ray copy of the movie. They gave me a fucking set of playing cards. They hooked it up. I got this really great prize pack. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Show don't tell. Why the fuck isn't that prize pack right here so we can see it?
That's a good point. I don't have it with me. It's in my living room right now. That thing's cool though. Like so thank you, comingsoon.net. I appreciate it. We'll tag you guys. It's very nice of you. But yeah, the Gentleman fucking rules. Why don't you kick things off with the Gentleman?
Okay, the Gentleman. If you like Guy Ritchie films and you like Guy Ritchie crime films, you will like the Gentleman. It's really that simple. If you like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, if you like fucking Snatch, if you like Revolver, if you like Rock and Roller, you're going to like the Gentleman. It's like a greatest hits album of everything that he does great.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie has a niche, and when he's working within it, he's fucking great. And this is a great example of what he does. You know, you've got snappy dialogue, you've got really unique characters, you've got esoteric and eccentric fucking behavior, you've got loads of quirks out the wazoo, and at the same time, you've got a snappy little story that's, you know, way more convoluted and involved than it needs to be, but that's fine because the ride is enjoyable. And then at the end, it comes together and it's very simple. Guy Ritchie films rely on the casting, and he's nailed the casting again. You know, Snatch, Lock, Stock, all those films wouldn't be half as good without the cast that he has. And here again, the cast that he has sells it. Like, goddamn, Colin Farrell can do no wrong. And here, Colin Farrell fucking dominates.
That's the best part. That's my favorite part of that movie. Just fucking. Four. That's four. Colin Farrell is so good, and he's barely in it, and he absolutely steals that movie 100%.
I mean, I'm a Matthew McConaughey fan, and it's a really great McConaughey role. Even right from the opening, like he's the opening shot pretty much of the film, walking into that bar, and that opening conversation is straight away. Yeah, I'm in. I mean, even Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's one of those actors who, until very recently, pretty much if he was in a film, I wasn't watching the film. Lair of the White Worm, the Ken Russell film, was the only one I liked until Cloud Atlas. And
Paddington. He's great in Paddington.
You know, Cloud Atlas, he's a good cannibal. And then Paddington, God bless Paddington.
He's so good in Paddington.
So good in Paddington. And now this again proves, you know, actually I liked him in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. too, Guy Ritchie's Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh,
I have an unhealthy fucking worship of The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
It's a great movie. That's a great movie. Movie. That movie gets no love.
Yeah, and so Hugh Grant's really great. The other person who usually repulses me and puts me off films and drags them down is Charlie Hunnam. I hadn't actually seen a Charlie Hunnam performance that I liked until this film. Lost City of Z, Pacific Rim, Sons of Anarchy, all those things were dragged down by him for me. because he puts on this false posturing of tough guy shit that just doesn't come across as believable because he's trying to. He's got that Tom Cruise thing where, a true tough guy doesn't try to be fucking tough. Lee Marvin never fucking put his chest out and acted like he was tough. You just knew that he was going to drink a whiskey and punch you in the fucking face. And in this one, they've cast Charlie Hunnam as a bit of a dandy. And so that works because of the costuming, which I'm going to segue straight into costuming. Goddamn, Guy Ritchie's really become a costume maniac in the best goddamn way. His costumes in Man from U.N.C.L.E. and this, it's become a defining trait of him that he dresses his fucking characters so goddamn well in a way that the costume becomes a part or an extension of the character, or in some ways becomes character exposition. Like the second you see Hugh Grant in this film, you kind of know a lot about him before he even opens his mouth, just by what he's wearing. And it's the same with Hunnam. What they're wearing tells you so fucking much. And it's one of my favorite elements of both this and Man from U.N.C.L.E. is the costumes. This one's obviously less lavish and flourished, but it still has style to fucking burn and costumes.
Oh yeah, so much style. I think this is one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best made Guy Ritchie films so far, and it really does have a lot of like you said, it's sort of like a greatest hits album. It's like him really digging into what he does best, and just really taking it up a level, because like everybody's like all the subtleties and nuances of the performance, like he's getting so good with that dialogue that like just being able, and like you said with the cast just being able to deliver like a look like that, just look, Colin Farrell just doing this, just giving like a look and just being like like that is my favorite part of the whole movie, and it's just like it's gentleman's great.
And I'm not sure what my favorite part of the movie is yet. I just enjoyed the experience, but I'm also going to say that the other thing, and this is just a shameless geekdom thing, that fucking goddamn conversation about the Gene Hackman conversation, which is arguably as good as, if not better than, Apocalypse Now and The Godfather in the Francis Ford Coppola canon. Bold call, but it's a fucking goddamn masterpiece of sound design alone, let alone everything else. That conversation about the conversation, and also that, like, when I first saw Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, my biggest complaint about it was it was so derivative of better British gangster films. It was so blatantly Get Carter and The Italian Job and The Long Good Friday. And, like that ending is The Italian Job. Like the ending of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels is literally a carbon copy of the ending of The Italian Job. And I've grown to let that go and just appreciate it for what it is and go, hey, I like a good homage when it's made his own. And I realize that Guy Ritchie put enough of his personality on it to do it like what Tarantino does, where you can't really criticize when you're stealing something when you make it your own. Yeah. And I think that he does the same thing here, but the thing that he does blatantly is that fucking goddamn kidnapping scene near the end with the Russians. He legitimately does every single camera angle and edit from The Long Good Friday. The pretty Long Good Friday could possibly be the best British gangster film ever made. If not, it's in the top 3. It's such a fucking goddamn good film. And to actually see that car chase and that pursuit be done shot for shot, exactly the same as it, but not draw attention to itself, was really friggin' gold too, because he's finally leaning into the fact that he's not reinventing the wheel. He's just fucking giving us more of what we love from British gangster fucking films.
I really have nothing more to add to what you just said. I think that was a pretty solid rundown of The Gentleman. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite films this year so far, and I can't wait to watch it again and again. And
which is such a strange thing. I'm trying to. I was going to say that about something else later on, that it's my favorite film of 2020, and I'm thinking, like 2020, okay, so it's May right now. By now, you and I would have probably seen about 30 or 40 films.
Yeah,
right
easy.
now, we've seen like 16.
Yeah.
We've seen 16 goddamn films in 2020, and that's it. I've probably got about another 7, 8, let's round it up to 10 to see. Like, I really want to see The Lodge, for instance. Yeah. I want to see Gretel and Hansel. Seems to be the year for horror, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, saying it's the best of 2020 is a really odd thing. Just in the fact that, there's so few to choose from so far.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's going to be an interesting year for sure, because it's like that. My list for 2020 and what I wanted to see was huge. But speaking of one of my favorite films of 2020 so far, why don't we dive into Yeah.
There we go.
All right. So I am so excited to talk about this one. So Underwater is the newest film from William Eubank, who, as I'm sure you've heard me talk about this film fucking tirelessly on this show, is The Signal from 2015, which was my favorite film of that year. And it's one of I think it's one of the best sci-fi films ever made. And this I've been waiting for Underwater for forever. Like this is his first film since then, and it just feels like it's an eternity waiting for this. And he delivers. And I saw this in the theater, and I remember thinking, I was like, you know what? That's just a really well-made monster movie. And I've watched it like 3 times since then. This is becoming. I think this is sort of becoming my my ritual. Like a couple of years ago, I had The Ritual, and I think this is sort of becoming that movie for me, where it's like the more I watch it, the more I enjoy it, because it does what so few films can do with something so simple. It manages to take a premise you've seen 1,000 times and a scenario you've seen 1,000 times, and with having a good writer and a good director, you manage to make it something that's worth watching over and over again. This to me, Underwater is like one of the best films of this genre, because you've seen so many movies of this genre, but so few of them are on the same technical level that this is. And I can't stand Kristen, what's her name?
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, Kristen Stewart. I can't stand Kristen Stewart. Then this is the first movie I've ever enjoyed her in. She's a legitimate badass in this, and I bought it 100%. Like she fucking rules in this movie. She's great. The visual effects are great. The monsters are cool as hell. The score is great. It's got his styles all over it. There's like he does these really great slow-mo shots that he loves, and it's got his style is all over this movie. And it's beautifully shot. It wastes no time getting right into it. The stakes are high, and it has a great payoff. Like this movie delivers 100% what it needs to. It does exactly what it needs to. And it's one of the best examples of a monster movie, I think, a modern monster movie you could possibly want. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm not going to gush as much as you, but I liked it. But before we do anything, I've got to correct it. Kristen Stewart, you're so fucking wrong. Have you seen Clouds of Stills, Maria? Have you seen Personal Shopper? Have you seen The Runaways? Have you seen Welcome to the Rileys? Like,
you know what? I take that back. No, I take that back. The Runaways. I did like her in The Runaways. Personal Shopper is a piece of shit. I hated that fucking movie. I watched that with you. I hated that movie. That movie made me angry. But The Runaways, you are correct. I did forget about The Runaways. She's great in The Runaways. Absolutely.
And Adventureland. She's great in Adventureland as well.
I still haven't seen that. one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, Personal Shopper I can understand because it's got that under the skin thing that gets under your fucking skin.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen Clouds of Stills, Maria yet?
No.
Because that one's fun. I mean, that is her single best performance. But I love what she does. I'm a big fan of introspective actors and actors that sort of hold back and pull you in. And she does that. She pulls you in to the point where the subtlest face movements and stuff speak volumes because of the style of acting she's doing. Like Robert Mitchum used to do it as well, where you've just got someone who's not acting. And so because they're not acting, it means that any time they show any sort of tick or anything, it just amplifies to a scream. Like even half a smile from her can light up a fucking goddamn room or speak a volume, just like her kind of her eyes shifting. And because of that, for me, she just draws me right fucking into her performances, and I just get so into her performance that I find it captivating. I am absolutely captivated by her and everything. I'm going to agree she's great in this, but that's no surprise. I think I couldn't see her having a problem with this sort of role, because she has such a strength of character. There's a stoicism to her just naturally. I think just the way that she kind of guards it. She's so guarded, and I think that guarded nature of her presence on camera kind of brings a stoicism like what Sigourney Weaver had in Alien, which is obviously that's a point of this performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Deep Star 6. I'm a huge fan of Leviathan. I'm a huge fan of The Abyss. You know, I actually went and watched The Abyss straight after watching this because I'd realized it had been too long. And, you know, I'll say The Abyss is one of James Cameron's best films.
Yeah, The Abyss is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love The Abyss. The Abyss is way overdue for a fucking a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, I mean, it's Cameron being a picky bastard about that, right? Like, he's always picky about the fucking aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Titanic in the wrong aspect or something.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
anyway,
what? Yeah.
so Underwater. Anyway, Underwater. I enjoyed it. There's only. I mean, this is the thing: is sometimes you sort of judge a film and you judge it on things it's never going to be. Like what we were talking about with Extraction. I can't sort of expect more from Extraction than great action scenes because that's all the filmmakers were trying to give me. And I'm not gonna put this film Underwater and try and judge it against Ridley Scott's Alien. I may judge it more against James Cameron's Aliens because it's trying to be that ride mentality. It's not trying to be a haunted house film, although it does tread into that realm as well. But no, I agree. I think that because of the fact that we're so familiar with this story and this genre, there's a shorthand that gives us credit. Like the fact that this film starts immediately with existential jeopardy, with her talking to herself and establishing that there's some shit going on in her head that's fucked up because there's fucked up shit going on outside. And then before you know it, we're in a chase film. Like 5 minutes into the film, we're immediately fucking in motion. Yeah. We're in motion. There's shit happening. We're miles below the sea, and you know, there's no wasted time. There's no exposition. We're immediately in motion in this film within fucking 5 minutes. And so the pacing of this film really doesn't give you time to have to think too deeply about what you're going through. And you can just experience it on a surface level really nicely. And also because it's not aspiring to be more than a surface level visceral experience.
Yeah.
It does that really fucking well. It's incredibly well shot.
Yeah, well, he's Eubanks always has great cinematography. Like his films are always incredibly well shot. Like, yeah, the cinematography in this movie and the lighting, it's fucking beautiful. This movie, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and there's an atmosphere. Like straight away, you know, I mean, for me, the key thing that a film like this has to have is a legitimate atmosphere, not a manufactured atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And by manufactured, I mean, like, say, Deep Star 6. Deep Star 6 has a manufactured atmosphere that's like, we need to have this, but it's not really going to exude off the screen. Whereas with Underwater, you can kind of just get lost in a room in a moment, just by the way it's shot and the sound design of that moment and stuff.
And the sets, the sets and the props and stuff like that. Those suits they have, the suits are fucking awesome. It's
140 pounds. Those things were 140 pounds. Those.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, like the set design, like the production value, like a movie like this, like that's why I love Underwater so much, and why I keep watching it with people. Like if I'm like, hey, have you seen Underwater? Like I'm happy to watch it because it's to me it's like the kind of movie that I love that gets made so often but made poorly. Like it's such an easy movie to fuck up. Like that's the kind of it should be a throwaway movie, but Eubank is a great director. And like he gives a shit, and the movie's incredibly competently made, shot beautifully. Like it's one of the best examples of that particular genre. Like there's so few examples I can think of that are better than that as like sort of like your generic, like I would even put Ex Machina, like Ex Machina in the same conversation as that. As far as Ex Machina is not something you haven't seen 1,000 times. However, Ex Machina is one of the best examples of that genre, period, because of how well it's made. And I sort of put Underwater in that same category. I'm not comparing them on like an intellectual level, but as far as like the quality standard for that particular genre or trope, like I would put Underwater is your equivalent of Ex Machina is to like AI movie. You know what I mean? Like it's just. Here's the best example of that. Watch this. So
yeah, I mean it depends on what subgenre we're dealing with. If we're dealing with underwater ripoffs of Alien, I agree with you. Of the underwater ripoffs of Alien, which is about 5 or 6 of them, this one's the best made. I'm nowhere near as gushy on this film as you are, but I'm also fine with admitting it entertained the hell out of me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed TJ Miller. He amused the hell out of me, as he always does. I mean, Vincent Cassel, I'll watch Vincent Cassel in goddamn
anything. Yeah.
So little to do. I mean, if I'm going to nitpick, it's things like it's underwritten for Vincent Cassel. That character could have had just a little bit more meat on the bone.
He does so much with what he's got, though. Like, he's Vincent Cassel.
But yeah, but does it need more meat on the bone? No, because that's what the film's aspiring to. And quite often, I know I get caught up, and a lot of us do, in sort of judging a film on what we would have done with it rather than what it actually does. And yeah, this film has a very, very obvious goal for what it's trying to achieve, and it achieves that goal. Whether or not you buy what it's selling, that's another thing. But it's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to be another Alien. It's not trying to have, there is an element of existential dread to it, but it's not dwelling on that. At the bottom, at its heart, it's a chase film. There's bad things happening. Everything's imploding. We're all going to die. We need to keep running. Keep going that way. We need to hold our breath and swim. We need to run this way. We need to scream at each other a couple of times because people freak out, and that's what we do when we're stressed. We need to make some stupid decisions because we're living in fear, and when we're fearful, we make stupid decisions and, believe in stupid conspiracy theories and lots of other dumb things. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And that's, this film has that, there's those silly conspiracy theories they have at the beginning of what this could be. They certainly make some dumb decisions, but again, those dumb decisions in a moment of fear. They have some good frozen with fear moments as well.
Yeah, it's a fucking if you want to watch a solid ass underwater monster movie, fucking underwater. That's
I mean, I would have liked to have cared a little more about the characters, just to care if they live or die, but that wasn't what the film was trying to make me do. The film was just like trying to take me on a ride, and I had a fun ride.
So I guess we'll move on to the next one, which you saw that I didn't see.
The Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. Yeah, I haven't seen this yet, and it's because I didn't want to. To me, it looked okay. It wasn't like something I wanted to spend $20 to watch online, so that's why I haven't seen it yet. But from what I understand, it's good.
Okay, so I had zero expectations of this. I love Elizabeth Moss. Mm-hmm. Big fan. Love a lot of her work. I mean, going back years and years, all the way till now. Like Old Man and the Gun, but she was great. You know me and Mumford. I love that fucking film Mumford, and she's in that. I think that's one of the first films I noticed her in. But she's growing as an actress huge, and Handmaid's Tale is just fucking exceptional TV in every goddamn way. And so it was that, and also because of coming off Upgrade. Because Upgrade's what we were just talking about with underwater. Upgrade is
Upgrade. Yep, Upgrade is exactly that. See what I mean? It's like if you wanted to pick the best example of that genre, that's a great example. Ex Machina, underwater, Upgrade. Like those are like your best of. Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to take Ex Machina out of this conversation. I was looking for something to substitute for it because Ex Machina is on a whole different level.
Sure.
In every way for me. But also, then we get into the minutiae of what the best AI film is, and that's a conversation I could talk about for 3 hours, so I won't. But Upgrade is a really good comparison, and so Upgrade really fucking impressed me. And I'd never been a Lee Winnell fan up until Upgrade. I didn't like. I think it's Insidious or The Conjuring or one of those that he directed.
Those are terrible. Yeah.
And he wrote a load of those things. The first Saw film is actually pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Every sequel after Saw 1 is a piece of shit, but the first one's pretty.
Saw was that fucking. I think we've talked about this before, but like Saw is that thing that Scream was, where it's like the first one was good and actually moved like the genre in a new direction, and then after that it ran it into the ground. And Saw did the same thing. It was like, oh, here's something new and original, and then ran it into the ground. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Lee Winnell. Lee Winnell. I was curious what he'd do with this film and Elizabeth Moss, and I wasn't gonna watch it. And then the positive tsunami came at me, where I had sort of like what you're talking about with Extraction, but I had maybe 15 people say, oh, you're wrong about Invisible Man. You need to watch Invisible Man. You really should watch Invisible Man. Invisible Man is the film of the year, blah, 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 blah. And so it was like past midnight because I figured it was a midnight movie. I'd had a few and I sort of kicked back and decided to watch Invisible Man and enjoyed the fuck out of it. It really does, again, the first thing that I look for in a remake is to not remake the film, but make it your own. And this film recontextualizes absolutely everything about the Invisible Man mythology from H.G. Wells, keeps the themes, but reverse engineers everything. And so you're kind of looking at the same exact story from a refracted lens. And so instead of the film being about the man getting a God complex because he has the power of God. You've got the story of the victim and what happens to the people trapped in the maelstrom of this fucking, toxic fucking mad scientist. And it opens with one of the best, it opens with like a 10-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, I don't know how long it goes for, 5-10 minute dialogue, pretty much dialogue-free sequence that builds a silent fucking tension and sense of suspense and dread that some films wait an hour and a half to try and fucking create. Like this thing opens, and it's not a wham bam. That's the thing. It's quiet, it's meticulous, it's careful, it's full of, without dialogue again, it's all the character exposition you need. You certainly know everything you need to know about Elizabeth Moss just by the way that the film opens, and the way that she behaves in this opening tells you everything you need to know for the rest of the film without her saying a thing. And it also immediately sets up the jeopardy and who the villain is and who you're afraid of. It sets up all those things really well. So straight away, that opening scene, I was like, wow, you've set the bar really high. I don't think the film's going to be this good and sustain this after this scene. And I would still say the opening is maybe the best scene, because it just is. It's a really. I'm a big fan of fucking grabbing my balls in the first 5 or 10 minutes of a film.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
In a way that isn't actually grabbing me by the balls. Like there's a big difference between chucking me into the Wild Bunch and opening credits of the fucking goddamn Wild Bunch just leave me on the floor in a gooey mess of fucking, what the fuck was that mayhem, versus quiet, holding your breath, tiptoeing, dark lighting, shadows, every single bit of sound design inspiring a reaction. It's just a really well-engineered piece of building dread and suspense. And that's the opening fucking 5 or 10 minutes. And then it does. It becomes a really interesting film about a lot of different things. It's thematically really, really rich. At its heart, it's about gaslighting. It's the ultimate gaslight film. And but it's done in a way that isn't just retreading the way that's done. It actually just, it's doing it the way that all those other films do, and just elevates the fucking jeopardy and the consequence so much higher than the other films. It's got, again, it all hinges on Elizabeth Moss. If you don't like her and her performance, you're not going to like this.
I'm a big fan of her. I like her a lot. She's great. She's a fucking super talented. Yeah.
Well, the thing that really dazzled me about her performance here is that she could have so easily just done a retread of what she does in Handmaid's Tale, because on paper, the role she's playing could be looked at as the same character. A woman oppressed in an oppressive fucking world, dealing with trauma, PTSD, who's gone through so much fucking anguish and pain of a psychological level, manipulated by men, blah, 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 that she could have just literally almost superimposed her performance on Handmaid's Tale onto this film. And that was one of the reasons I was sort of steering clear of it, was because I thought that's what I was going to get. But no, she doesn't fall back on, I don't think a single quirk that she has in Handmaid's Tale is present in her performance here. And yet she's playing, as I said, on paper, it seems like it'd be the same character, but she minds it in a totally different way from a different point of view. And that's a real exceptional actress that can do that.
Yeah.
Then there's the actual element of the way that the film's made. The cinematography, the special effects, the sound design, all those things are just as good as what he did with Upgrade. They're top notch. He really, oh my God, the use of empty space and silence, like the power of nothingness, something that I as a human being have never really been able to grasp nor master, but the silence and the stillness and these shots where, certainly for the first half of the film, where you're just creating kind of like the shark in Jaws, with those shots when you're just looking at the ocean and there's no shark, but it could be there or it mightn't be there. You'll have a scene like where she's working in a kitchen and the camera's static too, so that you got a static camera just observing for say 2-3 minutes, and then she'll walk out of frame and that camera will just stay there, static, and it won't do anything, and nothing will happen in the room, nothing will happen in the scene. And the longer that fucking happens, the more you're climbing the goddamn walls, expecting at any second that you're going to see a hint of the Invisible Man, or the Invisible Man is there. And because it sets up these jump scares that don't happen, and this is the other thing, the film doesn't rely on jump scares, which is fucking awesome. like the anti-jump scare film. As I said, the amount of times that it fucking leads you down the primrose path, so that by the time that something does happen, it's so fucking unexpected. You really are affected by it in a potent way. It really is good manipulation. You know, the best horror films are audience manipulation. I mean, all cinema is manipulation, obviously, but the best horror films manipulate you, and they don't do you in that heavy-handed way, like, you know, fucking It. It's an example of a terrible way to make a horror film, where you never have a moment to, in any way, assess anything in that film. It's just chucking you around like you're in the mouth of fucking Jaws. Well, this one's the opposite. This one just has the camera sitting there and makes you do crazy thoughts and sends you into a sense of paranoia like she is. So that as her paranoia is rising, so is you as an audience member in conjunction with her. And I think a lot of this is, as I said, it was after midnight, the lights are out, I was all by myself. I think it was even a rainy night too. Like, the atmosphere in my life was just perfect to experience this film. And so it's not like it's a horror, like a balls out terrifying film. It's just a film that you're constantly fucking participating with, whether you want to or not, if you're engrossed in it. And the filmmaking is what really pulls you into it.
Cool. I will check it out. I want to check it out. I love her. I think she's super talented, and that does sound like something to be in my wheelhouse. So I will definitely have to check that out once it's not $20. I don't want to pay $20 for it, but I do want to see it. What's that?
Yeah, it's $20 at a cinema. It's not worth $20 at your home. I mean, I don't know how much into The Invisible Man you are too. Like, I'm a big fan of the Invisible Man genre in general, and I've seen pretty much all those films. And I like that this corrected everything that was wrong with Hollow Man. Like, Hollow Man, Paul Verhoeven's Hollow Man had all the potential in the world, but its character pacing and arc was so wrong that when you've got an Invisible Man with a God complex already, and then the first thing he does when he becomes an Invisible Man is go straight to the worst possible thing you could goddamn do, it makes the rest of the film a semi-climax because he's already done that worst thing.
Yeah.
This does it the reverse, where it's just these little things and these little things and these little things and these little things. And it plays with your perception so much that, how do I word this in a way that isn't a spoiler? At the end of the film, you're still kind of confronted with the fact that you have to believe the victim in order to buy the conclusion. And at the same time, you can totally deconstruct the film and say, no, that's not the way it fucking is. And to make that in a way where it's not frustrating, that it kind of just, at the end of the film, is kind of a mirror on the audience member and goes, okay, where do you stand on this type of topic? And where are you fucking coming from with this thing? Is really, really interesting. But I think I'd risk going into any spoilers if I go any further than this, so I'm going to stop and just say Invisible Man. I really enjoyed The Invisible Man a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Cool. I look forward to checking that out then. Let's dive into our next film, which I'm excited to talk about, as I'm sure you are.
I really should have done a refresher for myself on, because I saw it so long ago, and, you know, full discretion, I was so fucking goddamn high that I loved it, but my finer memories of a lot of the minutiae of this film are fuzzy at best, which is probably the best way to be with this film, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that this is probably one of the best H.P. Lovecraft adaptations that there has been ever made. It gets the existential dread and terror 100%. The atmosphere is fucking spot on. The madness, like I'm a big fan of things like this. This is like right up my wheelhouse, like video games like Darkest Dungeon, and just like where that the concept of something so horrifying that you go insane. Like I love the idea of something that physically terrifying that it drives you to madness just by looking at it or being around it. To me, that's my favorite kind of horror, is that real just that great eldritch style horror, like that. I just love that, the old gods type stuff. And this nails that 100%. And Nick Cage just gives a batshit crazy performance, and it's really beautifully filmed, and the soundtrack is amazing. It's got a great score. The last like 5 minutes of this movie almost ruined the entire movie for me, but I've kind of let that. I've talked to a few other people about it, and the way they talk about the book that it's based off of goes into a little bit more detail, which unfortunately this does not. So like the ending, the way this ends is it's very jarring and almost pulls like a. I hate like it took me out of the movie. Like I was so into the movie, and once the ending starts to happen, it immediately, like I noticed it and it took me out. And there's nothing I hate more when I'm lost in cinema's fucking mystical spell is when I notice that it lost me, and I hate that feeling. And this did lose me at the end. But it didn't ruin the movie for me. The movie's still fantastic. It just might be one of those movies, if I watch it in the future, I might just stop it like the last 5 minutes or skip over the part that annoyed me and just go right to the ending. Because like it's odd because the scene that takes me out of it at the end is negated because of an awesome spout of dialogue one of the characters has at the end, where it's just where he's like has like this great monologue, which brings me right back into it. So it was just a very jarring and disorienting sequence that brought me out of it. But the rest of the movie is just fucking majestic, awesome, eldritch horror goodness that I cannot recommend enough. There's so few movies like this. The closest I can think of, for me, that stuck the landing, it was just better in general, was oh god, the Void. I think the Void is a better film, but it's also it's a slightly different film, but it's got a similar sort of it's thematically kind of similar. But yeah, what do you think, Color Out of Space, sir?
Well, I mean, obviously, I first got to correct you on the ending. Obviously, no, I love that ending. I thought those final minutes were actually what really fucking drove it home for me. And more importantly, you know me, I like walking away from a movie with things to think about. And that ending, you know, put it into my fucking lap, and I like that. And you know, and when I pulled it apart and put it back together, it worked. It just meant I had to think a little bit more about what had happened in the previous parts of the film. I did read the book, but like back when I was like 13, 14. So all I really remembered was a meteor crash lands and fucking weird shit happens. That was about my memory of Color of Outer Space, and I certainly didn't go and read the book because I didn't want to spoil the film experience. Yeah, I mean, I love those sort of endings, as you know, those sort of more cut, because it cuts right at the point where it lets you know that there's a whole that it's the beginning. The ending is the beginning, you know, that whole thing, and I dig all that. I mean, the snake eating the tail, you know, which is the Lovecraftian thing. I agree with you. The Void was a great one. In the Mouth of Madness is still for me the best Lovecraft film that isn't a Lovecraft film. Although Baskin was fucking great too.
Baskin is really good. Yeah, Baskin's great too. Yeah, those are all great examples of a genre that's woefully fucking missing good films of that nature.
What's interesting is all the films we're talking about aren't Lovecraft. They're just Lovecraft.
No. Yeah.
We finally got a Lovecraft film to talk about, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. Having a Lovecraft film to actually talk about for the first time is fucking great. And the idea that this could be a trilogy, Dunwich Horror is going to be the next one, I think. Richard Stanley said he wants to make it a trilogy.
Nice.
So I mean, if we get another one, that's great. So I mean, I think that I can't start this discussion without starting with Richard Stanley. It's amazing that after 20 years since Island of Dr. Moreau, we've got a new Richard Stanley film, because when I was a kid, like Hardware in the cinema blew my mind. Hardware was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and had so many things that I hadn't even fucking thought. I mean, obviously it was also because I was so young, I hadn't been exposed to a lot of the things that Hardware was pulling from yet. But I remember going into seeing that at the movies because I was at a point where I just compulsively watched all sci-fi films, and I liked the poster. I didn't actually see a trailer. I had no idea what it was. I went and saw Hardware and just went, wow. And then Dust Devil on VHS was again another unexpected one, where it was kind of like The Hidden. It was one of those ones that only us video store owners used to call each other up and go, hey, have you seen this one called The Dust Devil? I can't recommend it to anyone. but it's really worth fucking watching. You'd sort of watch it. There was like, you know, it was maybe 3 or 4 of your customers that you thought would like it, but you knew deep down that like it was really a film that was only designed for 5 people to enjoy. And and then Island of Dr. Moreau as well. Island of Dr. Moreau. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that great doco.
No, I have seen Island of Dr. Moreau, but I haven't seen I'm sure the documentary is better than the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the movie is a terrible film, but it's one of those exceptions to the rule. I don't watch it ironically because, you know, I can't watch films that way. But I kind of enjoy it, and not in a so bad it's good way, just in a every 5 minutes in that film, there's something really captivating, something really weird, even if it's the way that fucking, you know, Marlon Brando's picking his ass. It kind of just has all these things going on that I really, really respond to. But it's not, but yeah, overall, it's a piece of shit. There's no denying that. And I don't blame Richard Stanley for that at all. But the point being, anyway, it's really great that Richard Stanley is back making the film. And the idea that he gets to go from 0 to 100 and just immediately jump in the deep end with color out of space, it's batshit crazy premise from this batshit crazy fucking author and this batshit short story is just so suitable. And the only man that could do the role is Nick Cage, because he's one of those actors that unless the film itself is matching his energy, he stands out. But if the film is actually on his frequency, like Bringing Out the Dead is a great example where Bringing Out the Dead is, if you get a tuning fork and it tune forks to Nick Cage and then you have the film match, Bringing Out the Dead is a great example. And the other one that's a great example is Vampire Kiss. And Vampire Kiss is Richard Stanley's fucking like favorite Nick Cage film. And he pretty much told Nick Cage, do that performance. And the Vampire Kiss performance, even to this day, is still one of the most head-scratching things in the history of the world about how it works and doesn't at the same time. It's a great film. I love Vampire Kiss to fucking death. It's a great, great film. It's kind of American Psycho, 10 years before American Psycho, and tackling a lot of subjects and themes that they worry about now. But anyway, I'm so off topic. Anyway, Nick Cage fucking rules in this film. Color from Outer Space rules. From what I remember, as I said before we even started this review, I'm really hazy on this film. I probably should have rewatched it to get into specifics about things I liked other than Nick Cage and the alpacas. I loved the alpacas. I like that we live in an age where also, you know, from Mandy to this.
I wish I liked Mandy more than I did. Mandy's that one that kind of I got lost on Mandy. Like his a director, like he's so close for me. Like he's so close, like visually, like the audio is always perfect, but like there's just his movies, he gets a little too wrapped up in his bullshit. I think like he needs that someone to like just steer, like just be like, come on man, let's focus. I feel like he gets distracted too much in his own flicks, and I would like to. I'm determined to like his movies. I will watch any one of his movies, but I've yet to really fully enjoy one.
You need to watch Mandy. You need to watch Mandy again. You need to watch Mandy again. I'm going to say it. You need to watch it again.
No.
Because expectations and everything was so hyped up.
Yeah, like, my expectations were through the roof of that.
That night that we saw that film, like
hyped. Yeah. Mandy was like my most anticipated film for that year, and like I remember just get the legs swept right out from under me.
I liked it. I liked it a lot in cinemas, but I absolutely fucking loved it the second time I watched Mandy. It was the second viewing that really did it for me. And it wasn't the film's fault. As I said, I think it was just expectations. I too was so got hyped for that film that I don't know if anything could have lived up to it. At the same time, it did live up to it once I watched it. And Color Out of Space was the same though. I was really hyped.
I agree. Color Out of Space, I was super hyped for as well. But it delivered for me. It delivered for me up until like that one point, but then it like brought itself back. And it was such a weird mind scramble for me when that happened. But
okay, I'm just looking at the messages, and we should have had Jeremy on as a guest because he's making great points. He commented on the really great creature effects in Color of Space, which I remember were fucking amazing.
Yeah, they're amazing,
Jeremy. Yeah. And the other one he's talking about is how much he's excited that the trilogy happens, which we all are. What else is there that he's saying there? Oh, and the shower scene. Oh, shit. The shower scene. Thank you, Jeremy. Yes.
Yeah.
It's all back to me now. That fucking shower scene is the best shower scene since fucking Psycho.
Yeah. I gotta watch that again. I really like Color. I recommend Colorado Space highly. It's there's so few movies like it, and so few. There's even less movies that are good at it. Like there's it's a genre that's really underdeveloped. And you know what I would love to see? There is yet to be a good fucking Cthulhu movie, and I would love to see a Robert Eggers Cthulhu movie. I would love that more than
Dude,
anything.
Underwater is the film you're looking for. Underwater is the film.
Yeah, but it's not quite like Underwater is like that Aliens vibe. I want like an actual like I want some like real like void level Cthulhu movie. You know what I mean? I want that real.
Of course I know what you mean, and of course I agree with you. Of course.
Nah. I need that, and I feel like Robert Eggers. If you're gonna make a Cthulhu movie, oh, Robert Eggers, the way that would be. I want Robert Eggers make that.
Film, a
What's
Viking
that?
fucking film. Eggers
Yeah,
Viking.
I can't wait for that. Like until we get our Mel Gibson Viking movie, I will gladly take a Robert Eggers Viking movie. I cannot wait for that. That is so fucking exciting.
Oh, fuck it. Yeah, no, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts, especially because of his attention to historical detail and stuff. But anyway, Color Out of Space.
Yeah.
Color Out of Space. Obviously, we both loved it. Obviously, we both recommended it. But now's the time to mention again. It's very niche. Like, if you turn around to me and go, I don't know what the fuck that movie was about, shit, stupid, I go,
okay,
fair enough.
Yeah.
If it's not on your frequency, it ain't on your frequency. This thing isn't looking to break any box office records or please everyone. It's just looking to please little nerdy fanboys like me and John, who grew up on H.P. Lovecraft, and Richard Stanley fans. Like, I can't shout out to Richard Stanley enough. I love the man. I love his work. He's just one of those individualist fucking filmmakers who's not going to give a fuck what we think. At the end of the day, everyone could have hated the film. He's still going to be happy. He's not going to give a fuck. Same as Nick Cage, as if Nick Cage cares what the fuck we think of this film.
I just want to give my buddy Jared just made the best comment saying a Cthulhu movie with Egg Shen as some sort of sorcerer. I would watch the fuck out of that. Absolutely. It's too bad he's alive. Rest in peace, Egg Shen.
I'm reading these comments that the fucking people watching are making, and they're all better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evidently, we should be the ones commenting, and they should be actually hosting the show.
I agree 100%. Let us wrap this evening up with this might be my favorite movie of the year. Where I said The Gentleman was one of my favorite movies. This might be my favorite movie so far this year, and I'm very, very excited to talk about it. Yeah.
Come to daddy.
Oh yeah. Oh my, do I love this movie. This is one of those ones I've been waiting for, and like my hype level was so high and I didn't quite know what to expect. The trailer is very ambiguous, doesn't really tell you anything. We have little Elijah Wood as like this douchey little hipster, just jizz bag. And he's just so cringy, and like this movie gets better every time you watch it. I've watched this like 3 or 4 times now, and each time you watch it, like when you go in blind and have no idea what's going on, it's awesome because you're just sort of trying to figure it out as it happens. But then as you go back and rewatch it, all the things that do happen, and since you know what happens, you get to really enjoy the performances and like all the little nuances of the performances, especially between Elijah Wood and the main character, the guy who is his father. That whole thing is so great, especially as he tells his little personal stories and like he gets enraged by them.
By the way,
what's that?
Martin Donovan is his father,
and he's fantastic. He's so fucking great. Come to Daddy is, I don't even know how to explain what kind of movie this is. Anytime you think you know what's going on in this movie, you're wrong. First of all, you're just always going to be wrong. Then there will be some amazing fucking dialogue and these great interactions. One of my favorite interactions in that movie is between him and the hotel clerk, and he's like, "So you want to maybe do that, or are we just gonna sit here and do this all night?" Like it's just like these great little douchey character moments. And Elijah was just such a little pud with his awful fucking haircut and his little mustache. He's such a little twerp, but he has these great moments as his character gets put under duress, and like, oh god damn it, all the characters are just batshit insane. The fucking the guy at the end who's chasing him, the crazy British guy with the fucking teeth. Come to Daddy is a fucking masterpiece. Like this is probably going to be my favorite film of the year. I can't stop watching it. I'll watch it with anyone who hasn't seen it. I will continue to gush about it all night. Adam, what are your thoughts? Come to Daddy.
I enjoyed it. It's farcical and fucking hilarious.
Yes.
It is so uncomfortable to watch this goddamn film the first time through.
Yes.
And with every new absurdity, and it's so fucking absurd. Mm-hmm. Everything in this film is so fucking absurd. I couldn't stop laughing. Like it kind of almost like if Hunter S. Thompson made a horror film when he just fucking done 6 9mm shots and taken a tab of acid and just had to roll them. And it was made on the fly. Like there's almost an element of improvisation to the fucking plotting. Like it feels like it's all improvised in its plotting, and yet it all comes together, as you said. I think to let the viewers know, I think the first thing to note is Ant Timpson, I think his name is the director. And this guy, it's his first film, but he produced Greasy Strangler, Turbo Kid, ABCs of Death, and Deathgasm. I think he might have directed Deathgasm as well. I'm not sure. But either way, he's like, that's the world that we're talking about to start with. And if you've seen Greasy Strangler, I think that's probably the easiest shorthand to let you know if you're going to enjoy this film or not. If you saw Greasy Strangler and it made you run away screaming or crying or shaking your head or think it was a turd, Come to Daddy isn't for you. But if you watch Greasy Strangler and we're like, I don't know why, and I have to question myself for enjoying it, but I really enjoyed that film.
You're a bullshit artist.
The second thing we need to do is the token film frack gushing over Elijah Wood.
Yes.
Elijah Wood, his name in a horror film means I see a horror film. I mean, it's really that fucking simple.
I always see Elijah Wood. I see any Elijah Wood film, any movie he's in, I will see any movie.
Elijah Wood, Maniac. That Maniac remake is still one of the best fucking remakes ever made.
It's a masterpiece.
I do watch any Elijah Wood film, and I watch any Elijah Wood film and any Daniel Radcliffe film other than Swiss Army Man. I go, this film would just be twice as good if they cast Elijah Wood instead of Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Especially fucking Horns. I'll always go back to Horns. Horns would have been a great film with Elijah Wood. With Daniel Radcliffe, it kind of just fucking sucked balls and was flat. And it's really a shame because Horns should have been fucking really, really fun. But anyway, again, off topic. Come to Daddy. Come to Daddy amused the shit out of me. Martin Donovan, Weeds, Simple Men, Opposite of Sex. He's a great fucking actor. Him playing the dad is really good. Stephen Hattie as the, Stephen Hattie, I won't talk about who he is or what he does, but he's fucking great as well in it. But it's Elijah Wood's show. And that mustache alone just makes him like 10% more punchable than he usually is.
He's such a douchebag. He's such a little California hipster douchebag. He's so cringe-inducingly terrible, and he's just so like.
He could have walked into Ingrid Goes West. He could. Who's that fucking douchebag we love to hate?
We love
Ingrid Goes West and stuff. He could play his brother, his character in this. Like he is. He's just fucking pond scum.
He's a little twerp. Yeah.
Yeah, he really is. And it's such a funny film and such a ride. I mean, it's a film that I'm not even going to get into the plot of really at all.
Can't. Yeah.
You need to go in blind. And it's not necessarily because there's these big twists that kind of floor you. It's just you kind of just strap yourself in. After 15 minutes of this film, you kind of give up and go, oh yeah, what's going to happen? I'm not going to pretend to know what the fuck's going on, and I'm just going to enjoy this ride.
It's also beautifully made. It's fucking gorgeously shot. Like it's so well made. The lighting, the set design, the fucking camera work. It's so well made. On top of that. Yeah.
I mean, on a technical point of view, it really is. I mean, and it's boldly acted. I mean, those performances don't happen by accident. I mean, saying yes to a film like this when you read the script doesn't happen by accident either. I can only imagine that like there was a very small pool of potential people to send the script to start with.
Yeah.
And then a smaller pool that lasted past page 5 of the script. And then an even smaller pool, which were probably the 5 people that understood it, were the ones who said yes to it. It's kind of like how Keanu Reeves got The Matrix, you know, just everyone else read it, went, I don't fucking know. Keanu's like, I understand this, I'll do this. Come to Daddy struck me as one of those films where, yeah, you've got to, and you it's also one of those films that you know, when you read the script, you're like, okay, I'm not breaking the box office with this film. And again, I mean, 99% of what we talk about is always these sort of films where it's like, it's not for everyone. You know, for every one person that loves Come to Daddy, there's going to be 5 that fucking hate it. And it deliberately makes itself hateable. That's the thing I kind of admire the most about these sort of films. Like Come to Daddy is purposefully alienating you at every point, and it is purposefully trying to make you uncomfortable at any time it can.
Yeah.
Twisting it even further and going, how much can our audience endure? And it's not doing it with gross out stuff. I mean, there is some gross out stuff. There's some great effects. There's some great gore. All those things are present. But it's just spending time in the company of these fucking cunts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody in this movie is just so punchable. And Elijah, like, I want to meet Elijah Wood. I just want to like shake his hand and like thank him for being like one of the fucking, like, he's one of my favorite actors. Like anything he does, he gives him 100%, and he manages to play these like oddly 3-dimensional little douchey characters, or just complete psychopaths, and like he just effortlessly puts himself into a role that just doesn't, by all accounts, it shouldn't be present by looking at him as a person. Like his characters are always so much more than his personality or like his look seems to imply. Like there's always so much more going on. Like him in Sin City is fucking, he's so good. He's such a ghoul in Sin City, and like you said, Maniac is fucking brilliant. Like the Maniac is so good, and so like that's
Maniac. Literally, I have to have a Lysol fucking bath, then hop in the shower and use Dettol all over my body. Then I scrub with like one of those hard fucking steel wool fucking scrubbers. I still don't feel clean. And Come to Daddy's kind of one of those films too. I felt pretty fucking dirty after it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Come to Daddy's. Come to Daddy's. It's going to take a lot to dethrone Come to Daddy for me this year. It's going to be what it's easily in my top 5 for the year. It's my favorite film so far this year, and it's going to take a lot to take it off that pedestal. But man, I think
you keep saying those words, and I haven't actually thought that. I haven't thought about my favorite of 2020 at all to even say what my favorite of 2020 is. I'm trying to think if there's even if there's a film from 2020 I've watched twice yet, and I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think anything twice yet from this year, and that's usually the first guide to me that I really like a film. By the same token, I've been completely antisocial during ISO, so I haven't watched anything with anyone. In fact, Come to Daddy may have been the last film I watched with someone. My buddy Warren, shout out to Warren. Don't know if you're watching or not, but Warren's my new horror buddy over here. And yeah, I think it was the last. I went around to his place and watched this together. And we watched this together, and yeah, I think that might have been the last fucking film I watched with another human being other than Fiona, who tends to be on a TV watching kick at the moment, so we don't really watch movies very often. I'm trying to get her to watch Underwater actually, because I think she'll enjoy Underwater.
Oh yeah.
I will not get her to watch. I don't think she'd like to Come to Daddy at all.
Yeah, man. Come to Daddy, Underwater, and fucking Gentleman. Those are all ones I've had repeat views of so far this year, and I've really enjoyed them quite a bit. Like there's just one of those movies. Like it's just gonna be part of my. Like I love those movies that you just want to show to people, like the people that get it. And Come to Daddy, like I've shared that with a couple of buddies of mine now, and like they're both just fucking loved it. Which those few people that that will enjoy it, like you can share that experience with. It's such a great experience because I think the first time they were saying it was actually like my second. So I was just like all the things that they're just watching for the first time and trying to decide whether they enjoy it or not. I'm like, oh, that's so much better now because that whole relationship is so fucking like that backstory and you're just like, oh, it's so cringy. And you can see the disdain on the guy's face. It's just come to daddy. I cannot recommend it enough. And if you also hate it, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. But I also understand. I also understand.
You're not wrong. This is one of those ones. I mean, because technically speaking, it's one of those films like Greasy Strangler that the filmmaker's doing the most they fucking can to make you hate it. It's kind of like taking what Kubrick used to do to the 1000th fucking degree. Like, Kubrick used to alienate his audience so much. Like, you can imagine 1971 or 72 or whatever, sitting down and trying to watch fucking Clockwork Orange, and the amount of people walking out of the building. And now you've got to do so much more to kind of make people that uncomfortable they're going to leave. But even Larry, it's like Larry David fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm on crack. Imagine that Come to Daddy might be Larry David's favorite fucking film.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting comparison. I fucking love that show. And it's funny you mentioned, I know you mentioned Kubrick, but this movie's like, it's not a 2020, but I finally saw, what the fuck was it? The sequel to The Shining there. Why can't I? Yeah, Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep is I've watched that twice now. Doctor Sleep's fucking incredible. And like I'm not the biggest Kubrick fan. I think Kubrick's an amazing director, like an amazing visual director, but I don't like his movies as much as I should. But I think he's an amazing director. But like The Shining is one of the Kubrick films I like, and it made me want to watch. It made me want to watch The Shining again, and at the same time, it's not beholden to The Shining really at all. It does an amazing job of being its own thing, and it's just also expanding that narrative so much more. And it's also just like a really, really good movie with like I love the idea, and like it was really original and it delivered on some really nasty moments too, and stuck to it. Like it was just good. Like there's so few good movies like that in general, and it is so much better than I ever could have imagined. It was just enough of an homage that like when the score kicks in from the original movies, you're like that's it just earned and feels right. Like Dr. Sleep fucking ruled.
Yeah, no, Dr. Sleep. It wasn't even on my fucking goddamn radar because Mike Flanagan is one of those 2-act dudes in the fact that he makes films where the first 2 acts of them are really great. And then for me, the 3rd act just sucks balls and ruins the entire fucking film. Like, I don't mind the last 2 or 3 minutes of the film ain't going to ruin a film. But if you're going to make me sit through half an hour that fucking just dismantles everything I liked about the first fucking hour of a film, and his films do that for me, usually. And I also had no desire for a sequel to The Shining seemed like such low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It just such a fucking attention grab and let's make some money. So I gave it no fucking mind at all.
I totally agree with you. I felt the same way.
Yeah, I didn't even know it had played at the movies. I mean, I'm saying all this just to say I didn't give a fuck about Dr. Sleep and was never going to see Dr. Sleep. And then come back to Warren, a new buddy. He was like, "You're fucking wrong. You got to see it. It's my favorite film of this fucking year." And I'm like, "Okay." And then once I went okay, then suddenly I had like about 5 or 6 people message me and go, "Have you seen Dr. Sleep? It's really." I'm like, "What's everyone?" I'm like, "Okay." And so there was a night where I was like, I can fall asleep tonight and go to bed early, or I can watch a film and I'm going to grab something that if I get bored, I can just stop it and I'll watch it later. And I was literally planning on watching Dr. Sleep over like the course of 3 nights because I didn't want to even give it that much respect. I mean, I'm one of those people who's pretty fucking militant that if you sit down to watch a goddamn movie, you watch the whole goddamn thing, you don't hit pause, you don't fucking do a thing with it. And then there's those throwaway films. And so Dr. Sleep was relegated to me showing it so little respect.
Yeah.
The goddamn thing in, and 2.5, 3 hours later, however long the goddamn thing is, I came out the other side going, why does it feel like I only watched an hour-long film?
Yeah.
Because the pacing is phenomenal. But oh my God, I mean, any film that opens with the killing of a fucking kid, you know me and killing kids, man. Love it. if I'm watching a horror film and you promise you're going to kill a kid and then you don't, and it's just because you're being fucking a pussy, I'm fucking stopping that film. Like, fuck you. I don't want to know. I mean, granted, there's films where, like, you know, you're setting up the killing of a kid, then you're not going to kill a kid. Well, that's fair enough. But those ones where, like, it's really drilled in. I mean, I just remember Mimic was one that Mimic, when I first saw Mimic, and I was like, Jesus Christ, they killed the fucking 12-year-olds. What the fuck? That's awesome. And this was fun. Like, it opens and you're like, whew, okay. Because it just sets the bar so high.
Yeah.
Killing a kid is just a really high fucking bar to set for a horror film. Like, if a film's willing to do that, and if a film's willing to do that in the first fucking 5 minutes of the film, I'm like, ooh, okay, well, if it's willing to do that, who knows what else it's going to do?
Yeah.
And it makes it so much more fucking watchable, and it increases the jeopardy, because anytime there's a threat, the jeopardy's elevated, because you know they followed through on killing a fucking kid, so they might kill this thing too. So it makes everything carry danger. And Dr. Sleep does a really good job of fucking maintaining that all the way through.
Yeah, and the dialogue was really great too, and I love that they used like the telepathy for some really great, like, just practical uses. And like the scene where he's like, I told you to tell him. She's like, I did tell him. He's like, I said show him. And like that part where, like, you know, he's like, you know, this like some dude showing up like with like a 14-year-old kid, and he's just like, and then he's just like fucking gives him the telepathy and like just shows him everything. Like, it was just like all these little moments that like just like these decisions that you would, if you were in a situation similar. Like, I like it when a movie makes smart decisions. Like that's some of my favorite things, when you have these great character moments. And like there's so many great character moments in that movie, and each character is unique and interesting and gets like plenty of time in the spotlight. Fucking Dr. Sleep, man. I wish I saw it last year. It would have been on my best of the year list for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, I'm a hit and miss with Ewan McGregor. There's things I love him in, there's things I couldn't care less about him in, there's things I think he's not very good in, and there's things he's great in. And so that was another, I was just like, oh, you know, Ewan McGregor, I don't know. But he was fucking great. But I mean, the star of the show is Maggie the fucking Hat.
Yeah, yeah, she's so great.
Is so good.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time there was a sexier fucking character on screen. The way she moves, Jesus Christ, like fully clothed, like it's nothing about, like there's a sensuality to just the way she fucking sits.
Yeah, like, I agree, 100%.
I can't remember the last time that like I was such a 12-year-old boy about it, where I'm like, I'm just caveman brain, but she made me caveman brain. Like I tried to think of the last time I watched a movie where it was like, you know, maybe Eva Green in Casino Royale might have been the closest.
Oh yeah.
And I know there's just such a fucking sensuality and such a seductiveness to everything about the way that she moves, the way she speaks, the way she's shot, that you understand why everyone's bewitched by her. Because
I get that way about for Ana de Armas. She does that same thing for me. I'm just like captivated. She like that.
She's sexy, but she hasn't done it right. She doesn't play the sort of character that, I don't know, like Uncut Gems and stuff. Like she's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like her.
Oh, that's you're thinking of that's
oh yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah. That's Julia Fox.
Yeah.
Ana de Armas. She was in Blade Runner 2049, and she was in that boxing flick. Yeah, she's fucking gorgeous. But yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying. Like, yeah, you're exactly right. Like, just like the movements and stuff like that, just like a real sensuality to the character, and it's awesome because it's part of the character too. Like, there's a reason for it, you know, just like that being like an ancient thing. Like, it's like there's like that whole. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that
hundreds of years to hone that fucking skill.
Yeah,
and she's got it down pat, where you know that she can just walk into a room, not say a word, and people are just going to be spellbound.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like what a good celebrity fucking works out how to do. You know, how they take the air out of the room, and she kind of does that in the film, and it's a real. You know, I mean, she was so good. I might even actually finally watch one of those fucking Mission Impossible films that she's in. Because I mean, I know I have to watch those because everything else about those films I'm going to love. I'm going to love the fucking script. I'm going to love the direction. But she might be the thing that's finally tipped where it's like, yeah, I'll watch it, goddammit, and just be sad at the end of what could have been. Because, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. She was in something else already as well that I really liked, but I can't remember what it fucking was off the top of my head, unfortunately.
I only know the Mission Impossible.
You've got me recording in the AM. I'm never at my best in the AM, and recording this show at like 10 a.m. in the morning.
Speaking of which, it's getting late for me. I gotta go to bed. You want to wrap this up? And this has been a good. Yeah.
Let everyone know that we'll be coming back in a couple of weeks with another one.
Yeah, I hope you guys like this little experiment of ours, and I hope you like this format. I mean, it was a lot of fun for us. It might be a little rough around the edges. We'll try to patch things up as best we can. But Adam's on the other side of the fucking planet, and it's 10 a.m. in the morning for him. Or what the hell time is it now? It's gonna be noon for you. It's midnight for me. We'll do our best.
Yeah, actually, if you wanted to be really helpful, let us know from a technical point of view what was going on. Like, what was glitching for you when you watched? What it looked like when you watched it? Was the sound good? Was the sound bad? Especially me, because I'm not wearing headphones or have a microphone. I'm just speaking into my computer, whereas John's got the headphones and shit. Like, was there a discernible difference on that? Do our work for us, please. just do it for free. Volunteer. Give us all the feedback you can on everything. And let us know what you think of the show in general now that we're visible, and you got to look at our ugly mugs.
Yeah, speak for yourself, pal. But thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you all for all the great commentary. It was cool watching like everybody commenting throughout as it was happening. So that was neat.
It's much more fun having that level of interaction.
Yeah, it really is.
Comments were fucking great.
Awesome.
Plus, know that we've got at least 10 people watching, and it's fucking great.
our small and well, thank you for tuning in, Jeremy. We appreciate it, man. That's awesome of you. Thanks for checking it out.
Jeremy, Ginger, thank you. Chad, as always, because you're always a fucking great support. And you will notice over the coming weeks we're going to experiment with the show a little too, because there's only so many 2020 films out, right? So we're pitching out all ourselves into just talking about 2020 films. We'll be going outside the box a little.
I'm excited to talk about some of maybe like you and I were talking about this, like getting on like one of our tangents where we talk about films we love that like like Big Trouble in Little China, just like getting onto like one of those tears, like just going on to stuff that we love and might not be a 2020.
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth is that we're the kind of people that if there's a film that we love, we can talk for longer than the running time about why we love that film.
Yeah.
So deep diving on some of our shared loves and some of our big conflicts as well would be really fun. But we'll see. I mean, hey, give us suggestions. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Would be cool as well.
Speaking of shared loves, let's talk about your shirt, your Winchester. Let's just give shout outs to the shirts. You got the Winchester Tavern shirt. I'm rocking the Clamp Cable Network from Gremlins 2.
Well, I mean, this just seemed like the logical first isolation show. I mean, it's the fucking thing. When this thing fucking blows over, I'm just going to the pub for a few pints till then. It's kind of what, all of us have become borderline. Well, I was always an alcoholic, so now I'm just like fully leaning into it. Actually, that's not true. I'm living fucking healthier than I ever have, and it sucks balls. I'm walking every day, fucking eating well.
Poor baby.
Yeah, and you know what the most annoying thing is? I'm feeling fucking better for it. I hate seeing all the positive effects. I hate that science works.
Who'd have thought?
Works.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that's how that works?
Fucking science, damn it. Why is it always right?
Thank you guys for the great suggestions too. Like Jeremy's maybe suggesting like a live commentary watch party. We just did that. If you liked this, check out myself and some of the other filmmakers I worked on the movie My Name is Jonah with. We just did a live commentary watch party for that a couple days ago, and that was really great. We had a bunch of people watching that with us, and we just talked over the movie and why we liked it. So I think we could definitely do that. We could see if we could figure that out. I know that you can watch.
How do rights work? Like, would we be able to watch like Big Trouble in Little China and fucking?
Yeah. That's the thing. We'd have to look in to see what's available. I know the Facebook allows like certain movies to be available. I don't know. We'd have to look into it, but that might be a possibility. But
yeah, the idea of doing a fucking commentary is fucking amazing. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I would love to do that too. Yeah, we'll see what we can do though. But we do have another show we're gonna do in probably like another week or so, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That'll probably wrap up our 2020s that we've all watched. And then maybe we can do something a little bit more fun. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As I said, I've got about 10. I've got about 10 more films that I want to watch for 2020 that I deliberately haven't watched yet because I didn't want to have so much fucking out there. And this episode's really taught me that I have to make sure that I watch things within a certain time frame. Because it was, half the titles today, I remember I liked them or didn't like them, but remembering the finer minutiae of why, I just can't. So that'll be the other trick, is making sure that what we watch is then reviewed pretty quickly. So even the idea of us watching things and then just instantly maybe just tuning in to talk about one film at a time. I don't know. Anyway, we'll do this off air.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, man, let's fucking wrap it up. Thank you guys for checking us out. And if you're not already, subscribe to us on Facebook and follow our web. Check out our website, filmfrak.com. We got 33 other episodes, as well as some great interviews. We've interviewed people like Don the Dragon Wilson and the childlike empress from Neverending Story. We've had some great conversations with those people, so check those out. They're available on our website.
Larry goddamn Cohen, man. We interviewed Larry Cohen and Carl Gottlieb, the writer of fucking Jaws, and Joe Alves. We interviewed fucking Joe Alves, the man who built fucking Bruce and did Escape from New York production, Starman. Anyway, yeah, we've done some great interviews.
All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. I'm going to stop the old live feed right now, and we hope to see you guys again soon. Party.